and welcome to For the Love of Nature, a podcast where we tell you everything you need to know about nature and probably more than you wanted to know. I'm Fawks Lapole.
And I'm Katy Holloway. And today we are talking about fungi.
Woohoo!
Alrighty, so let's go ahead and just move right into nature news. I should have prepared a really funny joke, but
I have a fungi joke.
Please. It's not the fun guy one, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead and tell it anyway.
It was like one of the first jokes I ever learned as a kid, and I thought it was really funny. So Mushroom is in a bar, and he sees a lady at the counter, and he walks up to her, and he goes, "Hi, can I buy you a drink?" And she goes, "No, thank you." And he goes, "Ah, come on, I'm a fungi."
You have to say that joke with that accent too. I'm a fungi. Oh, goodness. Man, what is this now? Episode 9? Yeah, goodness. We're 9. Yeah. 7, 8, 9. Yep. We are booking it through these episodes. So just as a reminder, we're going to go through 12 episodes. And then we're going to take a 1-month break, and then we'll pick it up again with season 2. I cannot believe we're already talking about season 2, which is crazy. But we'll pick up with season 2, and then do another 12 episodes, and then have a month off and keep moving through there. So it gives us a little bit of time to catch up. And unfortunately, this is not our full-time job yet.
Right. But with your help, you can make it that way.
Yeah. Tell all your friends about this so we don't ever have to work again. We want this to be our job.
Please.
All right. Nature news. Are you ready for this one?
Mm-hmm.
Space hurricane seen hovering above Earth for the first time ever.
Ooh, I think I saw that on Facebook, but I didn't read about it.
Yep. So it starts out, this is from thehill.com, so it starts off as if humanity didn't have enough weather phenomenon to worry about, aka what else have we screwed up this earth for? We now have space hurricanes. Now I will say that although we just recently figured out what they look like and that they exist, the one that was studied was actually occurred back in August of 2014.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say 2020. I was be like, well, yeah.
Yeah, of course it happened in 2020. No, this happened back in 2014, but the observations recorded by the satellites were only uncovered recently. So with the new findings, scientists were able to create a 3D image of the 1,000 kilometer wide spiraling mass of plasma that rained electrons instead of water several hundred kilometers above the North Pole.
What did it do? What does that do?
I think I remember hearing about this.
Is it harmless, detrimental?
Well, I mean, if it's over the North Pole, I think polar bears might have tickled them.
Well, yeah, but I mean, could it affect, ozone or, I don't know.
That's what I'm trying to go through this. So plasma magnetic fields in the atmosphere of planets exist throughout the universe, so the findings suggest space hurricanes should be a widespread phenomenon. Let's see here.
It's solar flares. I've heard of solar flares and stuff like that.
So this one lasted about almost 8 hours before it began to break down, which is pretty long for something we didn't know, according to the researchers. And while it doesn't lead to flooding like hurricanes in the Earth's lower atmosphere, scientists said it could increase satellite drag, cause disturbances in high-frequency radio communication, and even lead to errors in the over-the-horizon radar location, satellite navigation system, and communication systems. So yeah, it just messes with everything in the air, which...
Technology.
Yeah, it's all which, as we know, which we're like, oh, first world problem, doesn't sound that bad. Unfortunately, everything we do relies on technology. So apparently these have been happening for quite some time. It's just now they're starting to map it out. But a 1,000 kilometer wide, that's huge.
Yeah.
Nuts. So hopefully they'll keep well, I mean, I guess not hopefully, but if they're happening other places, I'm sure they're happening here. Whether it's something that, was caused by humans or not, I guess time will tell as we start to study them more.
Yeah, maybe we just didn't realize it before. Yeah, who knows?
All right, what's your
scary
nature news?
Mine is very fitting for our episode today because it is a newly described fungus that mimics flowers.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it's really cool. So this is on indefenseofplants.com. So this newly discovered...
plants?
Yeah.
Okay. I heard in defensive, like as one word.
No. In defense of plants.
Okay, in defensive. I was like, defensive? It's in defensive? Like in defensive mode? In defense of plants. Okay, I got it.
So this came out in February. So there is a fungi that can hijack the reproductive system of a flower. They found it in Guyana. Yeah. You've got to see the picture. It is gorgeous. It infects the bud of the flower and takes over and doesn't let it bloom. So it comes out and it looks exactly like the flower that it on this plant.
Okay, so it only attacks one specific plant. Okay,
yeah, because it is.
Man, what's so specialized? What's the evolutionary beef against this plant?
I guess it found a niche and it was going for it.
Yeah,
it not only mimics it in looks, but like it emits the same UV, that insects can see, and it even emits the same odors.
What? Man, yeah. It has worked hard to kill off these flowers.
For sure. And, why does it do this? For the same reason as normal flowers, it's to reproduce.
Yeah.
So when a bee comes, because it's like, oh, this is perfect, and they get nothing from it, but it doesn't matter because it's already covered in fungal spores. And so takes it to the next one of this same species of plant, and it perpetuates the cycle.
Man.
So it only infects this one type. Oh, it's a yellow-eyed grass.
So do they consider that, is it to the point that it's detrimental to the species of that flower?
I would think it has to be.
You know what I mean? Like, how widespread is this?
That grass can no longer reproduce. I mean, it's taking over the reproductive system. It is completely taking it over.
So I wonder how much of the population it has wiped out.
Right, and what control.
Yeah.
Right, what is controlling the widespread.
Interesting.
Right, because you'd think this would completely take over and there would be no more. But it also wants to keep doing what it's doing, so it wouldn't want all of the flowers to die off.
Yeah,
I don't know how it's selective.
Man. Again, though, this goes back to our episode on plant sentience, where are they smarter? However you define smart, do plants, I don't know, maybe they just know more than we're giving them credit for. I don't know. But super cool. And fungi are amazing, which is why we're going to talk about them today. Heck yes.
So, I suggested this episode because I totally love fungi. Anyone who knows me knows that I love two things about nature, animals and fungi, particularly mushrooms. I just think they're so cool looking and they're really amazing.
There's such a variety of not only colors, but shapes, and they're so diverse.
Right. And all of them, it's almost like flowers and the fact that of their insane diversity, but unlike flowers, I feel like so much about them is so weird in a good way. I'm attracted
describing yourself.
Yeah, which is why I love fungi. No. But yeah, no, I think that's what I'm attracted to most in nature is the oddballs. Because there's just something super cool about it. It's a good story.
Yeah. And I do think, Laura and I were talking about this before we started recording for this episode, but I really feel like people don't appreciate fungi enough. I just feel like it's
definitely not
all around us, and people just don't appreciate what it does for us. And we'll get into all these reasons, but
yeah, because it's easy to appreciate some things because humans appreciate beauty.
Yeah, flowers. Yeah, I think people just need to look closer at fungi, and they would appreciate it more.
Yes, because if you're looking for beauty, look no further than certain mushrooms. Because holy cannoli,
yes,
I have seen some gorgeous ones. in real life, and I'm on some like fungi groups on Facebook. And
of course you are. Please
I know,
send
but
those.
I've seen some cool ones.
Please send them my way. I told you about that. Or I think I sent that one that was that lichen group on Instagram.
I immediately followed him, and I love every picture.
Yes, the guy that only posts about lichens. Let me see.
So good.
The lichenologist. Lichenologist, yeah.
Yeah. Highly recommend him, which lichen are a combination of a plant and a fungi. So.
Yeah. Pretty cool. All right.
But definitely need their own thing. We can't address everything today.
Oh my goodness, yeah. This alone could be multiple episodes.
Seriously. We're just going to touch on fungi today because our purpose for this episode today is to just introduce you to fungi and get you, again, to appreciate something that you might not appreciate. For those of you that already do, hopefully you'll learn a couple of new fun things today. So, fungi or fungus. So fungi is plural, fungus singular. What is it? Well, right now there are 144,000 different species of fungi. And that's all that we know of.
Yeah.
They're discovering more every single year. They can be broken down into 5 main groups, each of which are pretty different from the other. So I'm just going to quick race through these because everyone's going to be like, whatever, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
There are chytrid fungi, which we mostly know in biology as being harmful to amphibians, the chytrid fungus.
Yep.
But there's lots of different chytrid fungi. There's zygomycetes, which grow on human food like bread mold. There's glomeromycetes, which are mostly in the soil, and they're the ones that really form the relationships between plants and stuff, which Katy will talk about in a bit.
Yep.
There's ascomycetes, which are mostly pathogenic ones, like athlete's foot and ringworm.
Ugh.
Some yeasts are in this group, some of which are good, like Candida albicans, which can live in our body, and we're usually in sync with it, but can cause issues. And then lastly, there's basidiomycetes, which when I say fungi, these are what you're thinking of. These are mushrooms and toadstools, and then all the rest of the yeasts. So, those are the groups. Real quick, most of you probably don't care, but it's fun to know that there are different groups, just like there's different groups of animals. You know, there's mammals, reptiles, birds. It's the same with fungi. But what makes a fungi a fungi? Well, up until the 1960s, fungi were considered plants, which I thought was pretty crazy that it's so recent.
Yeah, that is... Okay, yeah. I didn't realize it was that recent. Huh.
Right. We've only just pretty recently
learned that. To be fair, I can see where they're coming from.
Right, right. No, fungi look and act a lot like plants, but...
Tell me why they're not.
Right? I will. Well, one, they don't have chlorophyll, which is the green stuff in plants that makes it food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you don't have chlorophyll, you're not a plant. And they have different cell walls than plants do, which I'll tell about in a sec. They can't be considered animals, though, because of the way they grow and take in nutrients. So they're not an animal and they're not a plant, but they actually think they might be more closely related to animals than plants, which is pretty crazy to me.
Again, I'm telling you, the more as time goes on, the more and these aren't, plants.
Sentient?
Yeah, the more they're going to be classified differently. Telling you.
Yeah, I agree.
You heard it here first, folks. For the love of nature is calling it.
So remember back to basic biology when we learned about cells? Our editor, Kim, says no. She doesn't. But
is it just us? Or are we the only nerds out there that remember this stuff?
Well, everybody in high school had to learn a little bit about cells. Come on. But anyway, cells, quick refresher, they're what all living things are made of.
A quick refresher for Kim.
Kim, we love you.
Yeah.
Animal cells have membranes, okay, that little squishy stuff that surround the cell. And plant cells have a cell wall, which is really sturdy, which makes plants so strong. And it's cellulose is what makes it up. Well, fungi have a membrane and a cell wall like a plant, but it's not made out of cellulose. It's made out of chitin, which is the same stuff that crab shells are made out of. Which is probably why they're saying it's more closely related to animals.
Yeah. I think, yeah. If they're looking at just that one feature. That does make sense. Again, though, I could argue that plants are a lot closer to animals than what we give them credit for.
Right. I think that they're saying because of the chitin and because like fungi are heterotrophs, they eat other things, whereas plants make their own. Anywho,
unless you follow tree sucking things on Reddit, then you might want to argue that trees also eat things. Continue. Trees sucking on things. Check it out. Nice. Subreddit.
Most fungi are multicellular, except for yeast. They're just
the weirdos.
Yeah. And what's really cool about fungi is the way they grow. So they look a lot like plants, the way they grow, but it is different. So they have, instead of like roots and stuff like that, they have hair-like tubes. So they're like hollow, kind of like a root, but they're called hyphae. And they branch and they branch and they branch just like tree branches. This network of branches we call a mycelium, which is what you can usually see like when you flip over a log in the woods and you might see what looks like whitish roots.
Or if you pull out a lot of plants.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Almost you pull that out and you'll see the rootlets, but then you might see some little fuzzies.
Yeah.
That's the mycelium. And that is the main structure of the mushroom or fungi. So when we think of like mushrooms, what we're seeing is the above ground portion, and that's like the fruit. What we're not seeing is the majority of things.
It's an iceberg. It's essentially an iceberg. Exactly. We're only seeing the tiny little bit for the insanity of how large the mushrooms are underground.
And even the fruiting body, the mushroom itself, it's all tubes. So it looks solid, but the entire thing is still made out of those hair-like tubes. So the mycelium, they suck up nutrients and grow a lot like a plant, but they can't make their own food. So they do this by digesting food outside of their bodies and then sucking it in. So like,
I'll go into a little bit more of that too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then when fungi is all grown up, so an adult fungi, and it's ready, it will produce spores. So spores are like really simple seeds. It doesn't have all the extras of like the stuff that gives the seed nutrients at first. There's no package. It's just there you go.
Yeah,
good luck.
It's right there.
Yeah. So and spores are usually dispersed through water or air. It's not like animals eat them and poop them out like some seeds and stuff like that.
Or that they need fire, or they need, you know what I mean, like something to help them.
Right. This is very primitive.
They're ready to go.
Right, like I know that like ferns and stuff have spores. It's like a very primitive way of reproducing. And it can be done sexually or asexually. So they don't actually need a partner to reproduce. They can just
do it themselves.
Which is very efficient.
Yeah, right? I mean, considering what we need them for, you know what I mean? It's a good thing that they take care of it themselves.
They are. So I've told you the types of fungi. I've told you what makes up a fungi. And then before I let Katy take it over, just a couple of things to remember about fungi is that we honestly don't know very much about them.
Yep.
Like we think that we do, but we've only scratched the surface. DNA studies show that there are thousands of different fungi in a single sample of soil. So many of which are not classified.
This is, again, one of those things that we need to jump on this opportunity and just find one and just start naming it.
Yep. I know, because on my bucket list is naming a species.
Right?
I'll take a fungi.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a single-celled yeast.
Yeah. Even good old yeast. I will take a yeast and name it.
I'll name you.
Yeah.
But what I love, they call fungi the dark taxa.
Dark taxa. Cool. That is awesome.
They call it that because so much is hidden and unknown.
Can we make a glow-in-the-dark shirt with that?
Yes. Oh my gosh, Katy, that would be so. I want it. Like a glow-in-the-dark mushroom that says dark taxa.
Dark taxa.
Oh my, Josh. And I mean, when I say unknown, scientists think that as much as 90% of species are not discovered.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we've discovered 144,000.
Yeah. And there's more. There's definitely
so mind-blowing.
More.
In the report, State of the World's Fungi, which I love that that's in the report.
I was gonna say.
That involved over 100 scientists from 18 countries. More than 2,000 new fungi are discovered each year from a variety of sources.
We're missing out, man.
I know. But I need to.
What is
I need
it
to
called?
Find a mycologist.
What is it called? As someone who studies fungi, there has to be
mycologist.
Oh, that's right, mycologist. That's right.
Yeah, I need to find a mycologist and be like, listen, if you need names, man, I got
you.
They're even finding like every year ones even from under human fingernails. Like,
okay, that is creepy. Out in the forest, I'll take it, but like, I do not want to be
anything with your body.
No, gross. Can't do it.
And what's also kind of sad is even though we've discovered what we have, they're not. There aren't people studying how endangered they are. So,
didn't think about that.
IUCN, the Red List, which evaluates like endangered species, or it evaluates the status of certain species. They have looked at 25,000 species of plant and 68,000 species of animals, but they've only looked at 56 fungi.
Wow.
So we only know about 56 fungi, like their status.
I don't even know how you would even begin to quantify that.
That's way too overwhelming, right? Like how?
Because it's everywhere that we don't see,
right? Which like
so
taking a look for something that you can't find.
And taking a census of an animal, like yes, it's so difficult. There's a lot of math, predictive. You know what I mean? Like sampling,
right? You're still extrapolating some numbers,
but something we don't even know anything about. That's just such a leap.
Right. And it's one thing to, like count mushrooms, but like all those other fungi that aren't, remember those other 4 types.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Because they're not big.
The dark taxa.
Yeah. And lastly, we were talking about iceberg here.
Mm-hmm.
A fungus that is known as the honey mushroom is the largest living organism on the planet. Have you heard of this?
No.
Okay. Whoa. I'm about to blow your freaking mind.
I don't think I have.
It is nuts. It's out west.
Okay.
I believe in Oregon is where it grows, which makes sense because fungi like moisture.
Yeah.
So how big? It's the largest living organism on Earth. How big do you think that this honey mushroom is?
I
wild guess.
Literally, I do not have a guess.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you. It covers 2,000 acres.
Yes. That's insane.
Yes.
That's insane.
Yes. So it looks like multiple fungi, but it is all
from the same thing. How did they figure out how big it was? Did they just?
I guess so it grows. Interestingly enough, it kills trees as it spreads.
Okay,
so they're like finding it on the trees,
gotcha.
And they're finding, and I guess they're testing its DNA, and it's still the same one.
Wow.
And they believe that it's 2,400 years old. It's too much. It's
too much. 2,000-year-old killer.
Oh,
man.
Crazy. So on that mind-blowing note of what fungi are, Katy.
Yeah, I'll take over to why is it essential? So according to BBC, like Laura said, more than 90% of the fungi in the world are currently unknown to science. So how can something so invisible be so essential? Let's think of it this way. It's so essential that sometimes it's right under our noses, we don't even realize it. It's that intertwined in the world around us. Their essential duties are as diverse as they are found, as the actual fungi are in color, size, habitat. So for now, I'm just going to look at the top 3 ways that the fungus Amongus are essential.
Yes.
All right. So breaking down, the 3 that I'm going to talk about are, wait a minute. Yeah. Breaking things down. So decomposition, healthy root systems, and medicinal. All right. So first reason, they break down organic matter. All right. If you've listened to our other episodes, we talked about insects. Decomposers. So fungi along with bacteria, they break down organic matter to release carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, and phosphorus into the soil and atmosphere.
Which we definitely need.
100% definitely need. And this includes everything from the forest floor, so everyone who is the forest floor, to everyone who is also attempting to make bread when the COVID lockdown started. So, like Laura said, yeast, baker's yeast. Here we go again. Saccharomyces cerevisiae. It is bad every time. Is one of the most widely studied fungi out there. So we don't know a whole lot, but apparently baker's yeast is like the jam of the land of, hey, this is what we know about
and
fungi.
And that's a decomposer? And it's a decomposer?
Technically it breaks down, because that's like that's the reaction.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's breaking down. So, but honest poll out there, how many of you didn't know that yeast was a fungus? I would say, I mean, besides you, Laura, goodness.
Right, a lot of people.
But a lot of people.
Most people? Yeah.
It's definitely one of those things that even I have, like, you know what yeast is, but do you really know what yeast is? I know I have to constantly be like, oh yeah, fungus. Like, and it
right. I think it's something that you learn about in like school a long time ago, and then you forget, and then you remember, and then you forget, and then you remember.
Yeah, and it's like
that's even like that for me.
And it's like a context thing. So like you in school, you're like yeast, and you bake bread with it, and you're like, okay. And then as you get older, and you're actually the one then breaking your bread during your COVID lockdown, you're like, oh yeah, fungus. Oh, huh, interesting.
I'll just put some fungi in my dough.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Gross.
I'll just put some fungi in my dough.
Okay. It got funnier the way you said it.
All right. So they break down, whether it's out in organic matter, whether it's chemical. It breaks down. It's super important. All right. So the second reason that fungus is essential is for plant roots, like Laura kind of already talked about. So a few episodes ago, we talked about mycorrhiza, the fungus that helps move nutrients among trees, but it's not just trees. So a variety of fungi, they're important to all roots, regardless of their function. Plants are fantastic at photosynthesis, but not super effective at grabbing up nitrogen and phosphorus as it is naturally found in soil.
You'd think that they would have gotten better at that over the years.
You would think, but I guess not.
But I guess why bother?
If you have somebody doing it. So the mycorrhiza helps to prep and break down the nitrogen and phosphorus into a form that plants can absorb. So in exchange for this hard work, the mycorrhiza is then given sugar that plants create from photosynthesis. So sugar is something an underground fungus has trouble producing. So really it's an even exchange. So
yeah, I heard that that plants send like 25% of their resources to the fungi.
Yeah.
I mean that just shows how important they are to the
It's
plant.
like an employee. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they get a cut of, you're working hard, you're giving me something. And so this is your pay. And this relationship is present with pretty much all plants. If you're going to have a healthy plant, you're going to have mycorrhiza out there.
I was reading that 90% of plants, they think, rely on fungi.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah. If I'm surprised, I would say if it doesn't, I would take a venture to guess it's probably not healthy. You know what I mean?
Or it's maybe it's like a desert species or something where fungi don't grow very
well.
Yeah,
very well. Yeah. So it's all of Texas that we can't find fungi, just dry. So although in the tree episode, we talked about mycorrhiza in trees, it really, in reality, doesn't connect trees, but trees to everything around it. And it's really not species specific. So it's not like mycorrhiza is only helping trees.
It's all plants.
It's all
90% of plants.
Yeah. And so it's all, and it's connecting like the mycorrhiza, will be connected to trees, but they could also be connected to, a flower over here or grass over here. And so it's not like it's specific to one thing.
That is such a mind-blowing and awe-inspiring image. Like, to think that literally, and it's so, cliche to even say, but that it is all connected.
Yes.
Quite literally.
Literally is connected.
Connected.
Yes.
We are all connected thanks to fungi.
Yes.
But still,
it's all connected. Yeah, one thing is going to affect another, and it's the same thing. Like you were saying, like if you ripped up the grassland floors or forest floor, you would see an insane network of fungi, just connecting everything under the surface. Again, same thing as a tree episode. Going back to Avatar, it's all connected. It's all moving.
Yeah. And it really makes you think of like the earth as like a body. Like it's just like it's the
living
Earth's,
body.
Like, nerve network.
Yes. Yeah. It 100% is.
It's so cool.
Deep. All right. So that was the second reason, is helping nutrients, because without it, plants, I can't see it being healthy because it needs that.
I think that's the most important way. I mean, without plants, we're screwed.
No,
we're dead.
We 100% are. You just can't.
Dead.
Everything is dead. Everything is gone. So that is a natural setting. But then the third reason why fungi is essential is because they are used in medicine a lot. And not just shrooms for medicinal reasons either, but think of one of the largest game-changing drugs of our time, penicillin.
Yeah.
So it's a fungi. So a mold, actually, which was discovered by Dr. Alexander Fleming, was found to combat bacteria. Thus was introduced into the world of antibiotics, which we know that antibiotics are way overused now. And now we have all these super insane super strains, but antibiotics still saves and continues to save lives. See,
oh, yeah. I mean, man, where would we be without antibiotics?
It would be a mess. The CDC estimates that only about 300 different fungi actually are harmful to humans. So considering how many there are, we don't know about all the different species of fungi. Only 300 different fungi, harmful to humans. Not too bad.
Yeah, wait, wasn't it you that brought up that crazy news article before about the guy who injected him?
Yep.
That's one of the harmful kinds.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, he also injected it into his veins. I don't even know if that would be the harmful kind. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of things
That's true.
That are
broccoli wouldn't be considered
harmful, but if you inject it into a liquid broccoli into your veins, I think you might have some trouble. So that while there are a lot of harmful fungi out there, it is extremely helpful. The CDC states that fungi are involved in the industrial processing of more than 10 of 20 of the most profitable products used in human medicine.
Whoa.
Drug discovery and research are ongoing. Some of these uses include what's called mycofungin, which is an antifungal agent. Misophenolate, which is used to prevent tissue rejection, which I thought was pretty cool.
Whoa, yeah.
And rosuvastatin, which reduces cholesterol. So shut the front door. Fungi is incredibly useful for more than just a pizza topping or getting a sweet trip to Neverland. And I did try to look it up, and so far I found that there are over 180, because of course if we're talking about medicinal, I had to at least look up some facts about tripping mushrooms.
There aren't that many species.
180 of wild-grown ones, the hallucinogenic kind. 180 different ones.
Psychocoblin or psychosoblin.
Psychocoblin, yeah. I don't think that the fungi are like a marijuana plant where you can just like cross hybrid. Because with like marijuana plants, how you can like cross them and it's like blue gem of the sun. You know how it has like all these I clearly am not a pot smoker because I can't really name any strains. I don't think you can cross them. So I think if it's for mushrooms, I think it would have to be just straight what you would find it as. I mean, some days I wish I would explore some more of these things, but I'm a mom and have a job that doesn't allow it. But also, I would be a horrible person to go on a trip with. Like, I already told you guys that when I drink, I get super hyper, and I don't know what I would be like on hallucinogenic mushrooms.
Now they're using them for, therapy.
Yeah. And that's why I included them in medicinal, because the more we're finding out about them, the more people are finding safer ways instead of like, let's just eat some shrooms to get high.
Right. It doesn't have to be recreational.
Yeah.
Right.
It can be medicinal and a function. So, although they are, recreationally used, are they essential in that regard? Some argue yes, like we said, because, some people are using them to help with
like PTSD.
Yeah, yeah. So there are some uses that people are starting to find, like I said, like responsibly starting to use them from. So once again, we're finding healing from nature itself, which is quite often the case.
Yeah, I think that probably everything we need
is in nature. I'm a firm believer that we could find everything and we have to do, and we've talked about this before, we really want to do an episode on like medicine from nature, because if we haven't found it in nature, scientists have pulled and have gotten inspiration from it in nature and have just recreated it in the lab for pretty much every cure known to man. Like there's rarely 100% synthetic made up in a lab. We've pulled it from nature. So
I think that's what makes it so tragic when I hear about extinction of things that we haven't even discovered.
Because you just don't know.
What if that was...
Yeah, what if that was the cure for cancer? What if that was this? What, you just don't know. So those three things, that's why fungi is important. Breakdown basically helps every single plant in existence grow, and through medicinal means.
Give it up for fungi.
Yay. I picture tiny claps, because like tiny mushroom, like tiny toadstool arms,
So cute.
All right.
I did a recent... I looked through my phone gallery to like look at pictures, because I was trying to find pictures for a program I was doing on fungi. And out of the 956 nature photos I have on my phone, 151 of them are fungi.
I believe it. I mean, since I live in Texas now, fungi is rare to come by. But I lichen. I like lichen. I take a liken to lichen. Take a liken to lichen.
That up here this summer was nutso for
That's what you were saying.
It was like the tropical rain. It was so humid but so warm, which is rare for at least Maryland. It's rare for it to be tropical feeling.
Yeah, right?
But yeah, the fungi were popping out there. I found like 13 or 15 different species in 15 minutes. It was nuts.
That's crazy. That is just crazy. Yeah, that would have been fun to experience for sure. Alrighty. Well, as always, you guys can find us on social media. Please like and subscribe to these so we can keep growing our audience. Tell a friend. Just tell people about us, because the more you tell people about us, the more listeners we get, and we can expand. Get
more feedback from you all.
Yeah, please. Yeah, like, subscribe, leave us a review if you've been listening and stuck with us through all of these episodes. Leave a review. Let us know what you love about us, and
or what you want to hear.
Yes, definitely, because we are always looking for episode ideas of what you guys want to hear. So thank you very much for listening, and we will talk to you next week.
See you next week.